You're live. Take it away, boss.
Hello, First United Methodist Church, Charlottesville. Thank you for tuning in to our midweek announcements. I'm Gary Heaton, lead pastor at First United Methodist Church. With me is the Reverend Phil Woodson, the associate pastor. And we've got some interesting and informative and we hope engaging things to share with you today.
My
Phil,
table wobbles.
Oh dear.
Somebody's
Well,
been
listen.
messing with this.
Put a thingy.
Well, I can now that you've touched it.
Oh, okay, right. Well, let me
Here, on the other
take
side of the
mine.
screen.
There we go.
Thank you.
You know, it has been kind of an interesting time to be in ministry, especially when we try to connect with folks in the congregation. I have been privileged to be able to visit with some folks. I did get a COVID test last week, came up negative, but since then I've been around other people, so I will have to get another test if I want to see anybody again.
Oh, you know who else had a COVID test? Lillian Marsden. Talked to her today. She was asymptomatic the whole time, now completely COVID-free, and is ready to roll.
All right. So that's good news, is that as much as we've been cautious, and I think operating in an abundance of caution is a good thing, we are a resilient people, and the church is going to go on.
Right, just a quick review. If you have any questions or comments for us, please put them into the chat section of the live chat. I see Cindy Remington. How you doing? So ask us anything, and we'll answer those questions here, and our way to engage with everybody every week. Speaking of engagement, Gary, you want to talk about the people who don't have access to computers or the internet?
We had a church council meeting by Zoom this week. Very good turnout. I was really glad to see everybody and hear from people. It was really the church coming into a new way of making decisions and talking about being faithful to what God has us to do. One of the things that came up and we are acting on is an intentional effort to make contact with people who do not communicate online. People whose primary mode of communication is not the computer or online communication. So Phil and I will be writing a pastoral epistle of sorts. It's going to go out by snail mail with a stamp on it to everyone that we think would appreciate receiving that kind of communication. There's going to be a self-addressed stamped postcard inside it, so you can return it and communicate with us that way. So that was talked about, and we're excited to reach out in that way so we can keep our entire church engaged in the ministry that God's called this congregation to in this community and in the world.
Now, Kathy Berkeley is currently working on a list of those people. We're thinking it's definitely more than 30, but less than 100 of people who would benefit from receiving some communication from the church via snail mail, via the USPS. So if you know of someone who you think, or if you yourself would like to receive that letter, not in the weekly email or not on the website, but in your mailbox, please reach out to Kathy Berkeley in the church office just to let her know that you would like it, or you know someone else who would probably appreciate that as well.
Now, I know from my wife, who operates out of an abundance of caution, that she takes our mail and sets it aside for a little while or wipes it down before we open it, and trying to be faithful to being aware of the COVID-19. Yeah. Everybody, we want to be in contact with you. If you do not want to receive one of these, make sure you let us know. But if you would, we would love to include you.
I'm imagining that you have a little clothesline set up either in front of a window where you're going to paper clip your mail to it, and then it's going to dry out in the sun. It's like a laundry line.
It's an amazing process after I go through the airlock to get into the apartment. Another thing that happened at church council, which I thought was beautiful, was we talked about the current systemic racism that is bubbling to the top of everyone's consciousness in so many ways, and how we at First United Methodist Church ought to be engaged in this presented opportunity to be in vital ministry of transformation, not only in the world and in the nation and in our community, but in our church. And so our church leaders had a very candid discussion about making some statements and efforts to have our church be able to engage in what I think is an essential ministry of the gospel of Jesus Christ into this world, where we need to speak transformation into systemic racism. So be aware and be in prayer.
Speaking of being aware and in prayer and connected, I want to encourage everyone to stay connected through prayer by continuing to make use of the email prayers@cvillefirst.umc.org. Now, since this is all live, we can't have the words magically appear on the bottom, but I know we're limited, as wonderful as this is. But prayers@cvillefirst.umc.org. Those emails come directly to the pastors. We'd love to continue to hold you all in prayer, to hear updates about the things that are happening in your lives, and continue that ministry. There's also information in the weekly email that went out earlier this morning about the prayer quilt ministry and ways that we're still using that and being in ministry to people who need those quilts. So please take a look at that and use that email as well.
Yep. Another thing I want to remind everybody, we're in our first book of our summer book study, Canoeing the Mountains by Todd Bolsinger. I posted another On the River devotional with questions, and I'm looking forward to engaging with folks. If you check on our Facebook page, you can pull up the devotional, and there are some questions there that you comment on or answer, and we'll have an ongoing dialogue through Facebook comment section. The second book we're going to start in July is Dr. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist. I think this will be a very good study for us to begin searching about the kind of transformation that needs to happen in us in order to be part of the transformation God is bringing in the world.
Now, that second book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, is hard to find. It's sold out very quickly in the last 3 weeks. And places where you normally buy books are restocking. So go ahead and put your order in now if you're going to join us for that study that's going to start in July. Media help. I would like to say thank you again to all of the laity who are continuing to record themselves and send in videos to participate in our weekly worship services. And I'd like to thank, I've got 3 to 4 volunteers who are now editing some of these video segments every week that are part of your worship service. And you should notice some differences and things that are happening as people get creative and take this worship process into their own hands. I would like to continue to invite and challenge you, the laity of First United Methodist Church, to consider what God is calling you to do in being a part of the new media ministry here at First Church. Specifically, if there's 1 or 2 people out there who have the time, skills, and capacity to help now put together full worship services and help upload them to YouTube. I've got everything set up to where it's just a matter of exchanging passwords and talking through a process. But if you'd like to give it a go, we can even work on it together for a few weeks of helping compile all the videos into one 30, 25-minute. One week it was 22 minutes of worship. So it's not these long things, and the videos are already pre-made. But if you think that you can help begin to join this ministry media team and putting together the full worship service to upload it, you would have my undying gratitude and appreciation. Otherwise, it's going to be Gary who's going to have to take that over.
Awesome.
Which would be amazing. We've all seen how well he handles his computer here in these live sessions.
Hey. So I want to also kind of piggyback on worship and what it looks like in this time, and how many things we have learned, things we have done well, things we have not done so well. I want to say thank you to everybody who's worked behind the scenes, but I'm very much aware that as we made this pivot, you guys saw a lot of Phil and I, and we were on the screen a lot in worship. And one of my real passions about being the church is engaging everyone. This Sunday, our worship service is going to have a multitude of people engaged in worship, from our preschool graduates, preschool teachers, our high school and college graduates. Carolyn and Alex are going to be bringing the message on Sunday, all about recognizing that life is going on. And God's people are still engaged with each other and in ministry. So I'm really looking forward to this worship service because it has been put together by more people than we've ever done since the beginning of this online worship. So you get to see a lot of faces you might haven't seen in a while. Please show up for worship on Sunday.
The last thing I'll say, and I want to make sure that the count is accurate, is to thank all of the 88 subscribers who have joined within the last month. But we currently have 222 subscribers to our YouTube channel. We are 22.2% of the way there of reaching 1,000 subscribers to make use of YouTube Live. If we want to record and live stream worship services using phones in the future, in order to access this mobile device live streaming, we need 1,000 subscribers. So please continue to subscribe, share our worship and announcement videos with friends and family, and continue to stay connected to the mission and ministries of First United Methodist.
Hey, Phil, what does it mean that the number of people watching now keeps going up and down as we're watching it? Does that mean people are like turning us off and turning us on? We're going to have to watch these folks that subscribe. We're going to keep track of it because I want to see it just continually go up and up and up.
Who doesn't?
Okay. So please, if you watch this live, let other people know that we had some good announcements and information, and we appreciate you tuning in. See you Sunday in worship.